Hi Hyundai, you probably know me pretty well by now, but just in case, I'm Brett Picorni. As you can tell, that truck out there is an enterprise rental. What you might not be aware of is the fact that you're paying for it. Normally I drive a 2009 Hyundai Accent, but that's been in the shop for 3 months now. I emailed you about this a few days ago, but you still haven't gotten back to me. Let's talk. Before this last trip to the dealer, my Accent had been in the shop at least once a month since November. That's almost a year. Let's start from the beginning. Well, just past the beginning. You see, the real issue started in December when the system malfunction indicator light came on. The only reason I know that light by name is because I've seen it far too often, but I digress. Before we dive into the story, I want you to keep something in mind, and that's that throughout my troubles with this vehicle, there were times I feared for my life while driving it. My vehicle was anything but safe. It had trouble starting, it rumbled, shook, and jumped when I drove it, as if it was having a hard time shifting gears. And yes, it is an automatic. There were times when accelerating seemed slower than it would have been in a tractor. There were times I couldn't depress the brake pedal. This was a vehicle that had repeatedly been labeled fixed, and that would drive well for a few days before scaring me out of my wits. Keep all of that in mind while I go through the history of visits. When I first brought my car into the dealer because of that light we talked about, you told me it was a bad spark plug and replaced it. It was a few $100s, and I don't really understand why, seeing as my car had fewer than 40,000 miles on it. Right around 35,000 if memory serves. I didn't say anything, I just asked you to fix it and paid the fee. I got my car back pretty quick, and about a week later, that light came back on. You know the one, the system malfunction indicator light. Before I brought my car in, I called to ask what the problem could be, and you told me it's probably the rest of the spark plugs. To which I wondered, why didn't you replace all of them in the first place? Regardless, I brought my car back in, and to my pleasant surprise, it was the rest of the spark plugs, and a failed coil pack. I once again paid hundreds for the fix. When I got my car back, I had it for a little while longer before that damn light came back on again, and with it, the engine temperature warning light. This time I replaced the coolant in the overflow myself because, well, it was bone dry. I also decided to replace the coil packs myself with Hyundai certified parts, seeing as it was a quick and easy process and would save me hundreds, regardless of the fact that those coil packs still cost a couple $100s. Another day later, both lights came back on. I brought my car into you again and learned that my radiator had apparently corroded. You reset the lights so you could monitor which coils were misfiring because they all looked okay, and then you replaced the radiator. Another $700 to $800 there. There was a point at which I asked about my spark plugs and coil packs not being covered when they failed so much earlier than the 100,000 mile mark, to which I was told that this particular model is different and that the average failure mark for those items is right around 60,000 miles. Even if that's the case, I was still barely more than halfway there. But back to the story. When the light came back on a week later, I decided to contact corporate and was put in touch with Robert from Regional in Atlanta. Robert has been amazing. He's done everything in his power to get my car fixed. And from that point on, I've only paid in time, patience, aggravation, and frustration. A number of additional visits would see the coil packs and spark plugs replaced again several times over. Let's see, the fuel injectors and valve lifters were also replaced several times, and oh, guess what? I had to have that replacement radiator replaced less than 4 months after it was put in. Finally, back in mid-June, my car went to the shop one more time, at which point I was told a whole new engine was going in and that it would take around a month, give or take a week or two to put it in. Like I said, that was back in mid-June. All year long, I've had friends and family asking me why I haven't put in for lemon law, and my answer is currently, I don't know. I guess I want to have faith in the company that's put so many man-hours into fixing my vehicle. The company that has put a lot of time, money, and resources into paying for my rental cars, loaning me lot vehicles, trying to find the issue with my car, and finally replacing the old engine with what I can only imagine is a used engine, with God knows how many miles on it. I've already been told that the engine was put in, but that it's bleeding motor oil like nobody's business because it was missing a head or something. There's no way that's a new engine. My car only had 45,000 miles on it when I dropped it off in June, and a not so trivial amount of those were from the dealership having to test drive my car for multiple days after fixing it. The maintenance crew at Hyundai has been great. I don't doubt their abilities and put full responsibility on my vehicle for being the one in a million that just fails. Whatever the reason, I've seen the frustration on their faces when I bring the car back in time and again, only to have to bring it back in days after I got it back. A dejected look followed by, "You're kidding?" is not something you should hear from the manager of the service department the second you walk in the door. My time, my family's time, and the time of the employees at Parks Hyundai of Gainesville has been utterly consumed by this vehicle. The amount of time and money put into it is ridiculous, probably enough that you would have been better off scrapping my car and giving me something new. To say my patience has worn thin is an understatement. I'm done. The last time I contacted corporate and heard back, you put me back in contact with Robert again. Like I said, Robert's been great, but he's not the person who can help me with what I need. I don't need you to fix a car that's been fixed countless times over the past year. I need you to put me in something else. I don't know who can do that, but I can promise you that, given my current experience, I would never buy a vehicle from Hyundai again. So, I'm asking you, for the last time, please help me.